Welcome in to Moving the Change, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Drell Hendricks. We've got a great interview today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the Berkeley Stags, Eric Lodge. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Well, we appreciate your time. We really do. This is you guys' first time tuning in. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. That's no G on that, just Movin Chains there. Our website, movinchains.com, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Lodge was hired in February. He's been the head coach at Seminole High School in Florida for the past 3 seasons, where he went 34-2 and won the 2020 state title. Prior to that, he was a DC at Seminole and also spent time at University High in Florida. Coach, let's just start there. What's it been like getting up here to the Palmetto State from down there in Florida?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind getting up here. Getting up here in March is a little late in the game in the process. We start the off season process. There's really no like off season really. It's one focus to another. So to get up here in March, we're obviously working from behind, but it's been really good. We've got a great group of kids that are bought in and they're working hard and they're doing everything we ask them to do. And, we tell those guys that's all we ask for of them, just your effort and your attention and, just go out and do the best that you can. And, so we've made great strides in the off season so far.
So, Coach, you're coming up from Florida, so you're a bit of an unknown. So we got to get some background information on you. If you don't mind, tell us about your coaching career, maybe playing career before that, just about you and how you got to this point.
Yeah, so I started coaching, just as a student at University of Central Florida. There's a high school like kind of right across the way. My degree is in coaching, so I really lucked out getting into that situation at university and was able to work for a really good guy named Don Stark. And, I learned a lot from him, kind of learned how to be organized and, just taught me all the ins and outs scheme wise and how to think and, just how to be as a coach. I was his defensive backs coach for 6 years there. We spent 1 year apart. I became a defensive coordinator. I stayed at university for a year, and then he got the job at Seminole, and I transitioned with him over there and was a defensive coordinator for 4 years there. We obviously had great success. He moved on. He got a head coaching job in Georgia, and then after that, I got the job during COVID in 2020, and became the head coach there. Funny enough, like I got the job. COVID happened. It was spring break. I never even saw the kids. There was no announcement. There was no anything. I thank God that I was familiar with the place and knew the guys and, was able to take over a familiar situation. But we replaced 10 on offense that year. The only guy that we returned was the quarterback. But like I said, we've done a really good job there of developing kids and kind of bringing them up. So we knew what we were working with, and we knew we had a talented bunch. It's just kind of getting them right and getting them pointed in the right direction. And we had a great season. We were 12-0 my first year, won a state championship, which is only second state championship in Seminoles history. We had great success. I actually started out 18-0 as a head coach. My first loss was to Chaminade Madonna, who's a powerhouse nationally. They ended up being the 4th ranked team in the country that year. We lost to them by 3 points. We fumbled the ball inside the 10 once, and I'd like to have that back. Thought we should have won the game. We lost that year in the 3rd round of the playoffs. We missed the extra point in overtime. So that one stings a little bit going back to back. And then last year we had a good season. Our starting quarterback got hurt halfway through the year, and just weren't able to put it all together. We got bounced out 12-8, at the end by a team that we ran the clock on earlier in the year. So it was a tough way to end there, but we had a lot of success. I had great memories there. Formed a lot of great relationships. We sent over 46 kids to college in my 3 years as a head coach. My 7 years there, we were 72-11. So we had a lot of great times. So those are, like I said, when we built relationships that, I'll take with me, for a lifetime. So I still talk to my boys back home, the coaches, the kids, those are my guys. So they'll always be that.
So, Coach, you mentioned, obviously you had some really good success down there in Florida. What made you look at South Carolina and really this Berkeley opening as a potential next step for you?
Yeah. So, kind of in the coaching world, it's a small little world, and you kind of meet people. And I became really good friends with a coach named Bobby Bentley, who's a South Carolina legend, and, Florida, they're pretty well known for not paying coaches, and, having a young family, being a father of twin 4-year-old girls, it really kind of starts to change your perspective a little bit on, what's important, and it's really tough because you're like, hey, this is my place. These are my people. I love my boys here. But at the same time, I've got, 2 little girls looking at me, and, $50,000 a year, eventually, that's not going to work, so
Yeah.
we need to try to make a decision that's best for them and the family. And Bobby was a great resource for me, and actually really started to push me to look into South Carolina, and would send me things like, hey, look at this one, talk to this guy, and connected me with the old Berkeley coach, Randy Robinson, who had great success at Berkeley. And Coach Robinson raved about, Monk's Corner and Berkeley High School and his time there. And, it was something that was very familiar to me with the place that I came from, and with the tradition, the history of it. And that's something that really intrigued me. In my time here, it's really, that's everything that I was told about this, and, the things that are valuable to me, that's all true at Berkeley. So I'm very excited to be here. Our family, we love it. And, we're just working hard, and, we're excited to get it back to where it belongs.
I know it's shortened to your tenure, but what are some of the similarities and some of the differences you've kind of noticed from South Carolina to Florida in your coaching these two teams?
Yeah. So, like with Berkeley and Seminole in particular, the communities care very deeply about the program and what's going on, and they want to see you be successful. So that's something that I'm used to, and something that I want. I love for the community to be involved, and really care about it. When you go out there and you play on Friday night at Berkeley High School, or at Seminole High School in Florida, it's something that matters. It's you grew up there, you were raised there, you play there, and your dad played there, your uncle played there, your cousins, your brothers, and that's something that's special. And the way high school sports have become, you don't really see that as much. Kids kind of bounce around place to place, and that's not something that's common anymore. So it's nice, and it's special to be in a place where it's more than just the game of football out on the field. Like people bleed blue and gold at Berkeley, just like in Sanford, Florida. Orange and black, man. People get crazy for some Seminole football. So that's probably the most striking resemblance. And then looking at what we walked into at Seminole, and what we're walking into at Berkeley, like the athletes, the talent is there. It just needs to be molded and developed and pointed in the right direction. So, those are two things that are probably the most similar.
Coach, we mentioned you were hired in February, got on campus in early March. Have you been able to kind of fill out your staff yet, or is that still kind of a work in progress for you?
Yeah, we've got the staff pretty much hammered out. There's always some openings for good guys that are good to and care about kids, but for the most part, we're all good to go, and we're ready to roll. We've put together a really good staff. I was blessed and very fortunate, a lot by circumstance, and just guys that know guys, and we've done a really good job. We've got one guy on the staff that was on the previous staff. We've got some other guys that were on the staff before and maybe had moved on and came back, and then just other guys that are around the area that are great coaches. So I'm excited about the guys that we've put around our boys.
So Kevin didn't tell you we're double agents, so we're going to extract some information for the South Carolina coaches here. I'm just kidding.
Gotcha.
No, what are some of the offensive and defensive schemes that you like to run, and will you call plays on the defensive side of the ball or kind of take that CEO type role?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of made my bones as a defensive guy, so I'm very involved with the defense. But as I became a head coach, I really kind of got my hand in all the things. Not that I micromanage it, but I definitely want to have it ran by me and give it the blessing of what we're doing out there. Because I'm the one that's going to have to answer the email to mommy and daddy if they're not happy. So. On offense, we're pretty comprehensive, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. We'll get into some 10 and some spread stuff. But it kind of runs the gamut. It's a pro style offense. We do a lot. We get into some single wing stuff, and short yardage. So the idea is to be very comprehensive and give defenses a lot to prepare for, and really attack them what they're weak in. So as we watch film and we evaluate them and what they do on defense, hey, these are the things where, hey, they don't line up so well to this, or this is where they have weak players. And okay, let's get in these formations. Let's put our best players here and attack them with these schemes. From week to week, it may be a little bit different of how we attack them and what concepts we use, but it's just all in the toolbox. Defensively, we're pretty much a quarters team. Even front, we get into some odd things, but it's all about being sound in the run and being sound in the pass. Have everybody accounted for in the pass game and having all your gaps covered in the run game. So
now, does that create some animosity between the offense and defense? These offensive guys, it sounds like they're running a bunch of sets and got a lot to prepare for, and your defensive guys, they're running a little bit of base stuff. Do they get into it a little bit or no?
We kind of harbor that a little competition between the sides. Not only the coaches but the kids, and I think that's good. So the way we run practice, we try to make it very competitive. And really if and this was a big reason why we thought that kids in our system at Seminole developed at a higher clip than everybody else. So really the way we prepare, the way we train, the way we lift, you're seeing better stuff than what you're going to see on Friday night, and like when a college coach comes through, they know that kid's coached up. They know he's prepared. They know that kid's, he's been in a college type of system. So those are the things that we really try to harbor and practice. Yeah.
Who are some guys that have maybe really been big influences on your style, or you maybe kind of model your coaching style after? And then are there any guys at the college or pro level you like to kind of watch to pick up some tips from here and there?
Shoot. I mean, there's nobody really in particular in college that's like, oh, I'm just going to watch this guy's stuff. I really like his stuff. There's little pieces of everything. I mean, if you just pay attention, you watch cut ups and, clips of people's stuff. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas out there. You get on Twitter, you see all kinds of plays and stuff. I think what it comes down to, though, when you see things like that, is, okay, how can we fit that into what we do, in our language? And also, you're watching a clip, you don't know why they're running it the way they're running it. Maybe they saw something in coverage, being able to relate it to what you're looking at, so, hey, this is what they do on defense. They do something similar. We need to do something like this, So there's definitely inspiration for plays out there. and that's kind of rampant. That's all over the place. Social media and Twitter, like in particular, is great for that. But just as a coach, guys that I really look up to, obviously, Don Stark, who I started under. He's very detailed, and organized, and that's something that he's like over the top organized. So there's times I'm like, man, I'm nowhere near this. I'm all disheveled, but really, and then people come in and they're like, man, you're on top of it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I feel like
glad you think so, right?
you can't hold it together. Yeah. But, being able to kind of be up under him for as long as I was, and just was able to kind of, pick apart like all the intricacies of coaching. There's obviously things that you'll never see as an assistant. And as you become a head coach, it's like, okay, and then there's unique scenarios that just kind of pop up and show up. But, he's definitely one. Tom Palucci, he was the defensive coordinator at University when I came in, was a young defensive backs coach. He kind of brought me up and raised me as a little puppy coach. Taught me how to draw cards, and, it is a guy that really inspired me. And then also my high school head football coaches, and my defensive coordinator, just my high school coaches. I come from a single parent household, like those guys, they were my father figures, and if I needed something, my mom was calling my coaches, if I needed my butt beat, she was calling them, they were coming to get me. So, those guys, just kind of how I care for kids, and, the standard I hold them to, and, the toughness and showing the tough love a little bit, I kind of get that from them, because that's kind of how I was brought up and how I was raised. Yeah.
So going back to the team a little bit, as Kevin said earlier, you were hired in March and got down here, up here to coach Berkeley. How did spring ball go? You mentioned also you have athletes, you got talent there. They just need to be molded. What did you learn about your team in particular?
What I learned about them was that they're really eager, and they're willing to work. Those guys, I mean, they're getting after it. Obviously, we have to make enormous strides to be where I'm used to and where we want to be. But they're doing everything that we ask them to do. Our seniors, they're really are gung ho, and they're working hard, and being leaders, and they're everything that you want. Obviously, in the weight room and in our strength program, we're a little bit behind, but we're getting there. So, but like I said, those guys are doing a great job. We'll surprise a lot of people this year. We're a really young team. We're going to start 3 sophomores at linebacker. I'm going to start 2 or 3 sophomores at the D line. We'll have 2 or 3 starting in the secondary. On offense, I mean, we've got really young skill players there. We do have a little bit more experience on the O line there. But we've got really good young pieces coming up, and as we develop and mold those guys, we're gonna be a force to be reckoned with here in the Low Country.
So, Coach, I guess we're kind of maybe at the tail end of it now, kind of that 7-on-7 season. Are you a big proponent of that stuff? And have you guys been doing a lot of it summer? And if so, how's it been going for you?
Yeah, I think 7-on-7 is good. I mean, we go out there and we're going to run the concepts that we run in the season. We're going to run the coverages that we run in the season. Some people use it and you'll see some crazy things, but hey, guess what, man? Apply your rules. Hey, they're never going to run a guy, right in between the guard and the center, the running back up a seam, on a seam right between those guys. But hey, cover it. That's your guy. So we use it to really hone our skills, for the season. And I've always thought it was a great tool. In Florida, there's actually an association that you can join that allows you to kind of do 7-on-7 and play with the ball all year long. So it really kind of, ramps up your off-season program and kind of gets you up to speed and gets you going a little bit faster. Here in South Carolina, which is new, but I'm really, fortunate, and I'm glad that this is a thing. In March, there's a time you can go out there and basically have practice. You can't use certain pads and things like that, but it gives you a chance to go out there and kind of sharpen your pencil a little bit. So but yeah, I mean, I think 7-on-7 is great. I mean, I've seen teams that go out there and they do the 7-on-7. They're out there with note cards and whatever, and generally those teams stink in the fall. But we've found a pretty good balance. At Seminole, we won a state championship playing 7-on-7, so that's a thing down there. So that was that's something that I've always really liked. We try to go to the college 7-on-7s. I think that that's a great opportunity to get your kids in front of college coaches, and they can see your kids up close and personal and watch those kids get coached and see how they react to competition and coaching. And so 7-on-7 to me is great.
The main focus of our platform at Moving the Chains is shining a light on the players. Who are some special guys that we should be looking out for on your team? I know you got some young talent, but if you don't mind name dropping a few of those guys so we can let them get some shine before they hit the field. Yeah,
on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to be led by our one senior that's going to start, Jove Rouse. And he's a really good player. He's hard to block, when he's ready to go, and when he's not tired, he's unblockable. We're going to have some other really good players on the defensive side of the ball. We'll have Andre Williams playing kind of on the edge, and we'll slide him around a little bit inside on the D line. We'll have two sophomores, Kevin Rivers at linebacker and Marcus Henderson at linebacker. They're both very fast kids. Those are kids that, that's kind of what I'm used to down in Florida, linebackers like that can run and cover and hit. They're very smart kids. On the offensive side of the ball, we're going to be led up front by Malachi Purdy. He's our center, and he can really kind of play, all the spots up and down the line. We got a really good little H tight end, Javon Wigfall. He's about 6'2", 230, can run, very good athlete. We've got Tavon Frazier at receiver, really good route runner, very cerebral, hard-nosed kid that plays tough out at receiver. We had a quarterback transfer in, Shawan Grant, who we think is going to do good things for us. He was a Berkeley kid that left and came back. We're really excited about him, and we've got a young quarterback too, that's going to be in the 9th grade. His name is Henry Rivers, and Henry Rivers is going to be, he'll be the best quarterback in this area, if not, the state of South Carolina by the time it's all said and done. He's a really, really special kid. He reminds me a lot of a kid that I had named Timmy McLean at Seminole. When we won the state championship, we had Timmy. Timmy started 4 years for us at Seminole. The arm talent, the cerebralness, and just the natural playmaking ability and just the feel for the game. These kids are very, very similar. And, that's a kid that I'm blessed to walk into Berkeley High School and have that kid coming up.
Oh, yeah.
So those are the dudes.
Love it.
So, Coach, you mentioned you were kind of hired a little bit later, kind of, I guess, in the cycle somewhat, but you were able to get on campus in March at least. So, how important was that to kind of be able to start building a relationship with some of those kids and not having to wait until, May or even the summer to get up there to Berkeley?
Yeah, obviously that's the name of the game, to get up there and form relationships and, not only, just get to know who the players are, but, understand what makes them tick a little bit and what pushes their buttons and, what are problems that are going on in their life that hold them back and, how you can help and kind of bring them along as a coach. So, that it was very important for us to get up here. I got hired, and a week and a half later, we had the whole family moved up, and we were ready to go. So I got offered a job on a Wednesday, accepted it on a Thursday. The next weekend we came up, picked a house. The next weekend we moved the whole family, and then that Monday I was at Berkeley. So it was a whirlwind, but that's just that's I think that kind of let the kids know and let the community know that, hey, we're not playing around. We're up here to get this thing back to where it should be, and it's gonna take everybody's effort, and everybody's got to be bought in. So we're all full steam ahead right now.
And when you first got there, what was the first thing you had to identify, that you needed to change to kind of make your mark on this program and instill your culture?
The biggest thing is just getting the kids to kind of understand, like, not only for me what makes them tick, but hey, this is my expectations, and what I'm going to accept and what I'm going to allow, and what the way we're going to do things. This is how we're going to work out. This is how we're going to prepare. This is what we call things. And then there's a lot of things that we've had to learn. Like I said, it's not just, hey, these are our schemes, but this is how we work out. This is how we practice. This is how we expect you to transition from period to period. This is how we expect you to clean the locker room. These are all the little things that kind of go into winning. There's an old saying, that you don't just become disciplined on Friday nights. A disciplined person is a disciplined person, Saturday through Thursday, and then on Friday, guess what? They're disciplined, so if you're living your life undisciplined, you just leave your trash on the floor, you don't pick up after yourself, guess what? You're probably not going to do what you're coached to do. If you're late to things, if you're not attentive and locked in mentally, those things carry over, and getting the kids to understand that and having an attention to detail, and a focus, is something that really was probably their biggest thing, acclimating to me, and my expectations.
It seems to be a little bit harder right now for some college kids, or sorry, some high school kids to get recruited due to the COVID year, the transfer portal, all that stuff. You talked about getting over 46 kids in college from Seminole. What are some things that you really do to kind of help get those guys a leg up and really get some good looks there at the next level?
Obviously the first thing is getting them out there and getting them in front of coaches. But like you said, it's starting to filter out a little bit now, but in 2020 and the 2021 recruiting cycle, the 2022 class, they really were met with a perfect storm of, here's the transfer portal, everybody's got an extra year, it was just all this stuff just kind of all boom right there. There were Power 5 schools that were taking 5 kids. There was a couple schools they took no high school kids, which is crazy. If you told somebody that, you'd be like, you're going to kill your program. And these programs were very successful, so, and I understand, there were coaches that sat down with me and were, like, hey, coach, I could take a kid that's 20 years old, right? He's on a red shirt and a COVID year, and he's got 4 years left. Or I could take a high school kid who's 18. It's basically choosing between a kid and a grown man. So, really getting the guys to understand, hey, you've got to check off all the boxes, right? You got to be a check mark academically. You got to be a check mark personality wise, right? You physically, obviously, you've got to, check those boxes. Otherwise, they're going to, move on to the next kid. But they're, obviously running a very successful program. Coaches know that, hey, these kids are going to get developed. They're going to squeeze all the juice out of the lemon. They're going to be ready. They understand practice and working out and going to team meetings and how those are run and how to act. When they get to our campus, they're not going to be like, what do you mean I have to go practice now after this hour-long lift? What are you talking about? I've got to go to study hall now. So those are all the things that we try to, do at a high school level without the amount of resources. But we've really tried to model and create a system where that gets those kids acclimated to what they're going to do. And I think that really helps them. And then just promoting and getting those kids in front of the college coaches, pushing their name, getting their film out there. That's something that, and that's not something that you can do alone as a coach. That's something that you have to really emphasize as a staff and get everybody to kind of use their resources and pull their strings and get your kids in front of coaches.
All right, Coach, we're going to transition to a couple of easier ones before we let you go. You've been there for a few months now. Monk's Corner. I need some of your favorite restaurants. I'll let you dip into Charleston because it is fresh. But Monk's Corner, if I'm coming to a Berkeley game, where am I going to eat?
There's a Page's Okra Grill little food truck that's kind of like my little spot to go to for lunch real quick. We just got another little food truck that Jabari Levy, who's a former player at Berkeley and a coach on staff, that he just opened up. It's called Busto's Bussin' Shrimp, and it's bussin'. So those are some spots you should hit up for sure. Yeah.
Write that down for next time down there for sure.
Yeah.
So, Coach, you're a UCF guy. How cool is the bounce house when it gets rocking there on a Saturday?
Oh yeah, I mean the atmosphere is really cool. So the atmosphere is, really it's pretty unique. You get in there and that thing is jumping. You feel like the thing is going to fall down on you, but it's very loud. The fans there are what I've come to realize is they annoy the rest of the world. So they don't like to hear that they won the national championship in 2017. So people, those people are very fanatical about their team, which is great. It's really a community and fan base where, everybody that I know that's a UCF fan went to UCF, so that's something that they're really crazy about. Whereas, down there, people grow up Florida State, Gators fans, Miami fans, but they didn't go there. Those people never went there. I don't know if I've met anybody that went to the University of Miami that didn't play. So, I mean, it's just different. So, those are my guys. I've got great relationships with the coaches there, and I've got a lot of my kids that came through Seminole there. We kind of built a little pipeline. I think we got 6 guys that played at Seminole right now that are on the roster there, and that's it's something special. So yeah, those are my boys. UCF's a good place.
Well, Coach, you mentioned Berkeley, and the kids really wanting to win, and haven't done that in a while. And Berkeley's a storied program, got state titles, got some studs, Bruce Ellington, guys like that. Have you seen maybe a hunger in the community as well to really want to put a winner kind of back on the field there for you?
For sure. I mean, every time you go out, around town, obviously it's a community that people really care about it, and they recognize your face, and they're going to come up and ask you, hey, how are we going to look, Coach? What's this going to look like? And obviously everybody expects you to go out there day one. That they don't want to hear that we're gonna be young and we're gonna rebuild it. They expect you to go out there and win, which is good. This is a good thing because that's what I expect too. So those boys will tell you, I'm not coaching them like you're a couple of years out. I'm coaching you like I expect you to do it right now. So, and that's the way it is. So we're gonna do our best, man.
This is a two-parter. Our listeners and followers, they're just fans of high school football in general. And you coming from Florida, that's one of the top 3, producing states for high school football. What's one of the best environments that you encountered as a coach, while coaching there? And where's somewhere on the schedule for Berkeley that you've identified that you're looking forward to going to next year?
Yeah. I mean, I was never in a better atmosphere than at Seminole High School. We packed it out. And that's a fan base and a town and community that really cares about their football. So when I won the state championship, we played at Doak Campbell, at Florida State, and it's COVID. You don't really know what to expect as far as people traveling. And we played another Central Florida team, actually, that they have a good atmosphere, and they're a storied program too, Osceola High School. And they had about 1,000 fans in attendance, and we had like 4,000 fans that traveled all the way up from Sanford to go to Tallahassee, it's like a 4 or 5 hour trip.
Yeah.
And that it's a special place. So that I've seen Berkeley in the heyday, and it gets rocking there too. That's something that I'm really looking forward to. Going and playing at Somerville is something that I'm looking forward to. I'm used to playing, very high caliber opponents, and the way I see it around here, they're the guy at the top of the mountain. So I'm looking forward to casting a stone that way. See if I can knock them off.
Well, last one here, Coach. What are some of your goals for the 2023 season for the Stags?
My goals is to go out there and do the best that we can each and every game, So if we go out and we put our best foot forward and we're locked in physically and mentally, that's all you can ask for. We ask the kids to get better, 1% each day. Go out here and just do better than you did yesterday, and just stay locked in, stay focused, understand that you can't take steps backwards. Every day you got to be coming out here, you got to give your best, because really the world, when you grow up and you become a man, the world doesn't care about your excuses and, what you got going on. We may care about that, just you and me, but the whole world just going to keep on spinning. They really don't care. You either get it done or you don't get it done. So just going out there and doing our best. If we do that, it really, there's some components of luck that comes into it. You got to stay a little healthy, and if things fall in the right place, we're going to be in a lot of games, and then we just hope the ball bounces our way.
Well, this has been great. I want all of our listeners and viewers to go check out Coach Lodge and the Stags program on Twitter and Facebook. They do a great job keeping you guys up to date with highlights and different offers of their kids getting things like that. So definitely check them out there. Like I mentioned, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, movinchains.com, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Joe, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go tonight.
Coach, just thank you so much for your time and congratulations moving up the Moncks Corner. I know that's exciting. Like Kevin was saying, it's a historic program, and we need them to be great again. Just looking forward to what's going on in the low country, like the lower state. They're really craving winners, and they're making that commitment by hiring coaches like you. Such a major coup to get you to come up here. So we wish you continued success. You've had nothing but success, so we don't expect anything differently. Looking forward to your program and seeing how it grows. And again, just thank you for your time tonight.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing this. I think this is great.
We really appreciate it, Coach. Look forward to stopping by a practice or a game and getting to meet you in person or shake your hand. But best of luck this year, all right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.